How do you, how does someone listening or watching plan to have a beautiful romantic relationship without trying to live up to the obligation of their partner and what they want from that relationship? How can you do both? I want to live life on my terms, but also I want to make sure my partner's happy too.
It's not really about living life, quote, on your terms. It's living life with a clear intention for who you are.
Yeah.
There's someone who will love who you're becoming, not just who you are. And I want to, I want to encourage people to not to find the person who loves you for who you are, but loves you for who you're becoming. Because when they love you for who you're becoming, they can see the depth of who you are.
Yes.
They can see your motive. They can see your intention. They can see your desire. And so when you fall short of it, they're not disappointed in you because they didn't see you as perfect. They saw you as progressing. They're the ones that actually pull you up and say, no, this mess up, this isn't who you are. This is a hiccup. It's not who you are. Get back up.
Yeah.
And that's what you want. You want that person who loves who you're becoming, and they refuse to give up on your becoming.
Interesting.
Not just who you've become.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of marriages don't work when someone's already famous or rich or successful. They love who you've become. They don't love who you're becoming.
Interesting.
But when you marry and you're both in the struggle together, you see who you're becoming. That's the great advantage I have. I married Kim when I was 25 years old. My average income for about 10 years was around $8,000 a year. We slept on the floor because I couldn't afford a bed. And we were so happy. And she wasn't always happy with the situation we were in.
Right.
But she could see that I was becoming someone. And I could see she was becoming someone. And we were so happy to get to become together.
Yeah. And do you still feel like it sounds like that's been a challenge for you is like living up to the obligations and trying to gain the respect of others around you. Do you feel like you've broken free of that lately, or where are you at in your life right now?
It's interesting because for me, Louis, it was because when I became a person of faith, I never wanted to do anything that would discredit Jesus. So I was maybe trying to talk around that just a little bit, when I was saying not living a life of obligation. I was just always so concerned that I would make a choice or do something that I would dishonor or discredit who Jesus is, because my faith in him is so deep and so profound in that. But I know that I'm not adequate to express him well, or maybe perfectly. And so I always lived with that concern.
How do I live up to this perfection that I can never live up to?
Yeah, because I'm not Jesus.
Yeah, of course.
But people expect you to be.
Right.
And so there's always like this tension. And then frankly, I have this, I don't know, this tool of skills or gifts or abilities. I'm just really good at like starting companies. I'm a really good entrepreneur. I'm actually really good at creating wealth. And I always held myself back because I didn't want people to think my faith was insincere because suddenly I had success or suddenly I had this. So much of my work in the business world, I had to do secretly and privately.
Quietly, as a silent partner. And yeah.
Because I didn't want to hurt my reputation and what people thought about my faith. But now I'm 66 and I'm like, I just want to enjoy my life and I want to have the maximum impact. I'm going to write books and start companies and create massive impact and let people decide whatever they want, because I've lived in that constraint of obligation,
Wow.
far more than I should have.
Right. Do you feel like this is a new thing in the last couple of years then for you?
I think in the last decade, I've been moving more and more in that direction.
Uh-huh.
And it has, propelled me into the business space far more, and it's propelled me into worlds that I just love being in. And I actually love being in a world with people who are scientists. I love being in the world people are atheists. I love being in a world where people, are really significantly impactful business people. I have a lot of friends that, like you, who are the best in the world at what you do. I enjoy investing in the top 1% of achievers in the world. And that's actually where I make my greatest contribution. It's kind of weird because my skill set is thinking. It's a strange skill set.
Yes.
But when I'm in a room, I can help even the best people in the world think at a higher level. And I had to just sort of accept at some point, oh, that's kind of like the gift I was given. And it took me a long time to accept that, because it feels like a strange thing to say.
Sure.
That, that what I can do is I can help you see things that you can't see.
Yeah, that's powerful. What is it that you think God has been trying to say to you that you've been resisting for the next level of your life, the next level of abundance, freedom, peace, love, harmony? Is there something that...
There is, but it's just hitting me that it feels like I have to keep going back to the same chair with God. Because it was probably 30 years ago, I was invited to this leadership event with a handful of people around the world, and they were all pastors. And they gave all of us these assessments, and they all came out exactly the same, and I came out completely different.
All these other pastors?
All these other pastors, they were like world leaders.
Yes.
And, emerging global influencers. And I went off to this little bridge in the mountains of North Carolina, and I laid on the bridge and I said, God, why would you ask me to do this if I'm not shaped the right way? And in my own time of reflection, what I heard was, if I wanted it done the same way, I would have called the same kind of people. I think what I'm hearing again in my life is, buckle up. I'm going to do the unexpected in you and through you. And you just need to be ready for the unexpected.
Wow.
And so it's strange. I know I'm supposed to be retiring, right? I'm 66. I should be, landing the plane. I think I'm just taking off for the first time. And I'm more excited about my future than I've ever been in my entire life. I feel so free to be me, so free to be fully alive. And every time I do something like that, it sets a lot of people free. When I became a fashion designer, you cannot know how many people around the world told me I didn't know I had permission to be a fashion designer. When I went, and decided to be an artist and work in other spaces and film, whatever, I had people all over the world saying, the fact that you had the courage to do that gave me the courage to do that. And every time I take on some ridiculous endeavor and do something new, I know I'm actually breaking down barriers for other people, not just for me. And that for me is so exciting.
Yeah.
Because the future needs the best version of all of us. It needs this fearless, just insanely committed to create something beautiful and extraordinary version of each one of us. And that's why I love your theme, the School of Greatness. Because we can all measure greatness differently, but what I do know is the world needs the best version of you. And that's how you make the world better.
Thank you for watching this video. If you want more inspiring clips like this, make sure to click right here to subscribe and click right here to watch that next video that is specific to support you in your life.